Hello everyone, Gary with Sin-Law Backyard Chickens here, and I am so glad to be coming to you today because today we're going to talk about chicks. It is chick season over here in Louisiana. It's getting cranked up, and this is one of my favorite times of year. So I'm going to talk to you about some of the things you want to do when you get chicks and how to raise these things and to care for them and all that. And understand what I'm going to talk about today is the Sin-Law Backyard Chicken way. And not necessarily the only way. There are tons and tons of ways out there to raise birds. But one of the things I want to stress and make sure that you understand, this doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be difficult at all. No matter what you'll find naysayers having to say about it on the internet, some of the poorest countries on this planet raise chickens and do so successfully. They're the most numerous bird in the world, and there's reason behind that. And the reasoning is chickens feed the world. So you'll notice I'm keeping my glasses on today because I have notes on both sides of my computers that I'm going to read through. There's no way I can memorize all of this stuff. So without further ado, let's get going. The first question to ask is why I raise chickens. Now, there's all the obvious answers. Well, I get great fresh eggs. I get to control the food that my hens have. There's no antibiotics in it. They're more delicious. That they're more nutritious. They're all the great things about it. My grandkids love to play with the chickens, and they pick them out and they name them, and it's just a great family thing that we do. But if this isn't enough to make you want to do this, let me read something to you guys and see if that kind of makes a difference to you, or at least helps you understand the poultry world outside of the backyard chickens. Now, I'm going to read you some information from an excerpt that I assembled from the Congressional Research Service written in 2014, and it's titled Table Egg Production and Hen Welfare. Now, please understand that what I read to you is only a small part of what is in this paper, and it discusses a lot more into detail the information contained within it. So understand that, going in. In 2013, the Egg Products Inspection Act Amendment set an agreement between the United Egg Producers, UEP they call themselves, and the Humane Society of the United States, HSUS. This agreement called for legislation setting uniform cage sizes and other new requirements for egg-laying production hens, or as the bill called them, table egg cage standards. And this began in 2011. This required a national cage size requirement for table egg laying hen housing over a 15 to 16 year phase-in period. The bill also included labeling requirements to disclose how the eggs were produced, air quality in their enclosures, molting, and euthanasia standards for laying hens. Historically speaking, according to the National Agriculture Statistics Service in 2011, U.S. egg farmers produce 79 billion table eggs from a laying flock of 282 million birds. The vast majority of this was concentrated in flocks of 30,000 birds or larger. An estimated 95% of all eggs in the United States are produced in conventional cage systems, which were adopted in as early as the 1950s. Sometimes they're called battery cages. These are wire cages that may hold 6 to 10 laying hens with automatic feeding, watering, and egg collection systems. According to the United Egg Producers, this typically provides each laying hen an average of 67 square inches of floor space. Some operations even have less. And if you're kind of wanting to get an idea of how much that is less living space than a sheet of paper, okay, for each one of the birds. The cages are proposed to be phased out for what the industry calls enriched cages, which are larger and give the chicken space to engage in at least some natural behaviors like scratching and roosting. The other 5% or so use cage-free or free-range systems, with only the free-range systems having access to the outdoors. So don't get confused if you go to the grocery store and you say, oh, these are cage-free eggs. What that means is they're not in a cage. They're not let outside, but they're in a big, huge barn, and they're allowed to move and roam around the barn. They have roosting bars. They have nests that they can go into, much, much better than the cage system, but it's not a free-range type of system. So today, more and more companies and consumers are willing to pay a higher price for eggs produced in what they hope is a more humane way. The European Union passed a directive way back in 1999 that over a 13-year period would phase out the use of battery cages for laying hens, and now only allows enriched caging or non-caged systems. Now, in the egg producer defense, you simply cannot produce 79 billion eggs a year in the price range demanded by the American consumer without housing them in tight, controlled, and contained spaces. The good news about this is if you raise your own chickens, you get to enjoy your own fresh and healthy eggs produced the way you choose, and therefore contributing to the overall reduction in the number of caged birds. Your birds, no matter what, will be so much better off than any of these, could ever be. Now, from everything I've read and understood from this single document, the bill or bills were yet to be passed at the 2014 writing and have reasonable opposition from both sides of the fence. The humane treatment of the animal side, who want to legislate how these laying hens are to live and give them a better quality of life. And then the farm group side, who don't want the government mandating their management practices at a federal level. You can kind of understand both of those. Perhaps the best way to solve this dilemma is with us, you and I, the consumer, choosing which eggs we buy, or in fact just producing them ourselves. So having said all of the above, let's get in and continue with the episode, okay? Now, first thing we'll talk about is the equipment that you're going to need. You need a brooder to start off if you're going to have chicks. If you're getting chickens, full-grown birds, or nearly grown birds, you're going to need a chicken coop. So in the brooder, you need food, water. You need provide everything that they need, and you need heat. Day-old chicks for the first week need 95 degrees of heat, and you'll see the temp chart that I'm putting up on the screen right now. And you back off 5 degrees every week thereafter, and take that with a grain of salt, because if you have a heat lamp in there, your chickens are going to let you know how hot they are. If they all are away from the heat lamp, then it's too hot. If they're all gathered underneath the light, then it's probably not warm enough, so you would want to lower that. And there's different ways. You can get brooder plates that are just a flat plate, and they're designed, and you'll see I'm putting it up on the screen right now. They are designed to just warm in there. Something that I'm kind of switching to is a reptile warmer. These are a bulb that does not emit red light. It seems I've had pretty bad luck with red heat lights in the fact that I can get pasty butt. And pasty butt is when their little backsides, whenever they excrete waste, start sticking to the chicks, and you have to go in there and dip them in water slowly, carefully rubbing, and you get them cleaned up. And a lot of times with young chicks, you have to do that over a couple of times. And I've noticed the times that I've been able to brood without that red heat lamp, that my chicks don't tend to get pasty butt near as much. So this year, I'm with my batch that's coming in April, I'm going to do the reptile lamp that has no light on it whatsoever. Now, having said that, I will also put my chicks in an area where the light itself is red. I have a red LED bulb that I use. It doesn't produce any heat or anything like that, and it just makes an overall red glow. The reason I choose to do that is chickens are very much attracted to red, and if you get a young chick or a pullet, even a hen that has a cut on it and it bleeds, those other birds are going to start pecking at it, and it's going to make it worse. And believe it or not, they can end up killing one another when they do that. So by having an overall red glow in your brooder house or for your young pullets, then everything looks red, so they don't necessarily see a wound on one of their fellow roommates in there, and they're not going to harm them that way. So understand that how we need this stuff and how you want to set it up. All right, moving on. Where am I? Where's my mouse? Also, one of the things that I do in my brooder for the first 2 or 3 days of the chick's life, while they're starting to get a little bit of strength, I put paper towels in the bottom of it. This helps them grip better. If you have something that's loose in there, like shavings and what have you, your chicks can get what's called splay leg. That means that their legs just kind of do like that, and they can break the tendons and stretch the tendons, and they never can walk very well again after that. And this kind of helps them grip a little bit. That paper towel allows them to. After that, I'll put wood shavings in there, and I really like wood shavings, not cedar shavings. Cedar has that, a little bit of that turpentinous chemical in there, and some people say it's really bad for them. What I've noticed when I've used cedar with my big chicks, and I have done it before, is it tends to make them sneeze. And sneeze means it's irritating something in their nasal passage or in their lungs. So I do not use cedar, but I do like to use the regular pine chips in there. So we're going to assume for this episode that what you're after is family chickens and pets to raise as egg layers for you, not necessarily for meat birds or production hens or anything like that. We're going to talk about family pets, basically, and that's what a lot of people do with them that also happen to lay eggs. And when you do that, you have to think about the different breeds that you may want to include. I like Orpingtons. They're a big popular favorite. Barred Rocks, Wyandottes, Easter Eggers, Morans, Americanas, and more. These are all known to be docile breeds. Now, there's always, particularities with individuals, so it doesn't guarantee you're going to get anything special. The most important thing when you have chicks, spend time with them, handle them, get them to know you, get them to trust you. And when you do that and they grow up, they're going to be your friends. And I've got a couple of my birds out there, they're just lap chickens. If you go out there and sit down, they're going to be on your lap, they're going to be on your shoulder. They just like the attention that they get, and we feel very close to them. Also, you should understand, if you're new to this game, no chicken lays an egg every day, okay? And you don't need a rooster to lay eggs for a chicken. She's going to ovulate and lay eggs anyway. And the reason chickens do it more than most other birds that you'll ever see, they've been bred to do this over the years, but the chicken is programmed to lay a clutch of eggs, anywhere from 8 to a dozen or so eggs, stop laying, and her body goes into what's called a broody condition, meaning that her body temp warms up and she wants to stay on that clutch of eggs and brood them until they hatch. Well, we take the eggs away from them every day, so they never get to lay that full clutch, so they continue to lay year in and year out, and this is kind of how we food them. We also have some like the leghorns and what have you that have been bred specifically over the years just for egg productions. They don't even know how to go broody anymore. If you set a clutch of eggs underneath them, they would get up and walk away. That's just been bred out of their psyche over the years. But a lot of the hens that we get for backyard type of stuff still have that instinct in them. Silkies are just notoriously broody, but they're pretty little things. Orpingtons can go broody on you. A lot of the older breeds that we call heritage breeds especially can do this. So before you get your chicks, you want to have your brooder or your pen, whatever you're using, 100% set up, ready to rock and roll, okay? Because if you're going to go on this day and you go pick them up from the farm store, or if you have ordered them through one of the hatcheries out there, they're going to be delivered. They'll tell you the week that they're coming. The post office is going to call you on the phone and say, hey, we have your chickens. You need to have someone ready to go get them. Your brooder needs to be set up, ready to go, to where you can put your birds right in there. They can start making a home out of it, and they can start living the way they should. And I have videos out there on brooding chicks and what have you, and it kind of teaches you what to do. Like, I take each one of my chicks, I'll dip their little beak into the water so they can get a taste of water. They know where that is, and they'll start coming back to us. So there's a lot of little secrets that you use. Now, when you get ready to buy your chicks, you can go to the home store, or you can order them offline. If you're new to this, I would suggest going to a home store, home farm store, and I like my local store, Petrus Feed and Supply. Petrus makes their own feed, so they control everything that goes in it, and every bite of food that my chicks or my chickens get has got a complete, balanced, nutritional load in each and every bite. If you use scratch feed, which is beautiful feed, and I talk about that in another one, and I'll use scratch a lot of times for fermenting or for treats and stuff. But if you use that, now you give the chickens the ability to pick and choose what they want out of that. The chicken, this chicken likes this grain, that chicken likes the corn, this chicken likes the sunflower seeds. And when you do that, they're not really going to get that complete balanced nutrition the way they are when every pellet or every crumble they bite into has got the exact amount of nutrition in it that the manufacturer intended for them. So I really like the fact that Petrus does that. What makes a big difference with me as well is the freshness of the food. You go to a big chain store and they pull this sacks of it out of a warehouse. From the warehouse, it's shipped in on pallets and it sits there in the chain store till someone like you and I goes and picks it up and starts using it. I don't know how old it is, and feed will degrade over time. There's podcasts out there with scientists that will talk about this, and so that's one of the things I still like about a local store like Petrus is they make it right there on the place. They control it. You know what's in it. It's all on the labeling. It's just a lot better, and you can buy chicks there. You can get all the waters there. You can get medications there for them. Just anything that you need, places like this is going to have. So, moving on, one of the things that I want to talk about also is supplemental feeding. So, I will do this within the first couple of days that I have chicks. I will start fermenting their food. It's a great health boost for them. It stretches your feed. It gives them this wonderful bacteria for their gut and what have you. And I've got videos that you can go back and check them out for St. Backyard Chickens. Fermenting is just a fabulous way to feed your animals. I do this, I don't know, probably every 5 days, something like that. I will have fermented feed out there, and there's a lot of things that you do. Once they've grown out, I don't know, at least 15, 16 weeks, I would say, you can start introducing healthy table scraps and treats to them. And the reason I don't like to introduce this stuff too early is because when they're young, they need this protein. This is what makes them grow, makes them healthy, gives them strong bones, muscle growth that they need. So you don't want to supplement too many things that just not really designed for their system in that. Now, having said that, I also let my chickens free range a little bit every day. Most of the time I'll go out there. If we're going to be home all day, I'll let them out early in the morning. If we're not going to be home all day, I may not let them out at all, but most of the time they average at least by noon. They go outside, they start scratching around, and they will eat all manner of things in there. And this is great. This is the way nature intended for these animals to do, and it produces a richer color yolk in the egg. It's very healthy. It's even healthier than what you're going to get at the store, just because of the variety of the food and everything that this chicken is developing in there. And then lastly, you need to kind of understand what your job is, or at least what I like to tell people that your job is. You want to ensure that the chickens are safe, okay? You want to ensure that they're out of the weather and they have the right food. So their safety and security is important. I use hardware cloth around my pens, even around the bottoms of the run. I have boards around there, and then laying on the ground, I would lay hardware cloth and let the grass grow over them, and this deters animals from digging. So security is a very, very big thing. And then you want to make sure they have a good quality food. You get them a variety of food. In the summers, like last summer, we had that huge heat wave. I would take grapes and slice them up, and then we'd get blueberries, and we'd put them in ice trays, and we would freeze them with water, and then I would just break them open and feed them to the birds, and they just loved it. It was a great icebreaker for them, but people call them boredom busters. The chickens loved pecking through there, and it hydrates them, and that cold ice helped cool their body down. We were getting some just really hellacious temperatures, and it was really getting bad for us last summer. Luckily, I did not lose any birds, but I did see a few of them that would get stressed out over it. But understand, if you do let your birds free range, like I let mine, about 3 months ago I lost one to a chicken hawk. I talk about that in one of my videos as well. I came home and the hawk was in a tree, and my Wyandotte was on the ground, torn up, and feathers all over the place. It was sad. She was a sweet, sweet little girl. Her name was Phoenix, that my granddaughter had named, and but the bird did not get its prize. You know, I denied it that, and I took the dead bird away. The next morning, it was still, or it came back and was hanging around the tree, looking for what it was hoping going to be its prize. So understand, if you let your birds free range, this is a price that you may have to pay every now and then. And I hate the fact that this happens, but to me, their overall happiness and health, and to be able to get outside and do what I call chicken, you know, scratch around, grab bugs, and chase one another, and you know, my wife Sarah and I will sit out on the back patio sometimes with company, and it's just so funny to watch these little things run around and the silly things that they do, the antics that they have, then walk out and get on our hands and knees with some treats or something for them, and here they come running. It's just a wonderful, wonderful experience to have, and something that you would want to share with your family. But understand some of the cons that go in with that. If you keep your birds in a pen, the chicken coop itself, if that's all they have, you want it to be weatherproof and what have you, but if that's all they have, then you need to have at least 4 square feet inside that coop for the birds. If they have a big run that's covered and out of the weather that they can go into, then you can have more birds in the coop because they really don't spend any time there. My birds don't stay in the coop. They stay out in the run. I have 2 different runs. One is completely covered, no rain in there. The other one is uncovered, but they're both secure as far as anything getting in from the sides. And then they get to go outside pretty much every day and run around. So you can have a lot more birds whenever you do that. But if you're confined in your space and they just have the chicken coop, you want at least 4 square feet of floor area for each bird. If you have a run attached to that they can only go into the run itself, then you need about 10 square feet per bird in the run. Again, if they get to free range parts or most of the day, you can increase your birds because they get to go out and have a good time. So I hope this video has kind of helped you. It is chick season, so that's so cool. I know so many of you out there considering doing it are getting ready to go buy your new batch of chicks. I find a reason every year that I need 1 or 2 more chicks for this reason or for that reason. So until next time, have a great one out there. Just remember, chicken math is real, and if you look at it, 1 + 1 = 11 in the chicken world. So make sure you plan ahead. See you guys soon. Bye-bye. Thanks.